When patients over 50 tell me, "I guess my memory is just getting old," I stop them right there. Memory loss is not a natural part of aging. It's a signal that something in your lifestyle, your brain habits, or your body needs attention. I've been practicing medicine for over 30 years, and I can tell you this with confidence. You're not losing your memory because of age. You're losing it because of neglect. And the good news? Most of the damage can still be reversed. After 50, your brain becomes more sensitive to three things: inflammation, disuse, and overload. Inflammation comes from processed foods and poor sleep. Disuse happens when we stop learning, stop reading, or stop engaging socially. Overload is the constant flood of notifications, background noise, multitasking. Your brain is not designed to survive modern chaos without active protection, and that protection is your daily habits. One of the first things I recommend to every patient after 50 is this: cut your screen time by at least 1 hour a day, and use that hour for something that makes your brain work. Read a real book, do a puzzle, write a letter. Your brain doesn't retire, it rewires. And every time you choose active focus over passive scrolling, you rebuild a little more clarity. Another invisible enemy? Chronic stress. Cortisol, the stress hormone, literally shrinks the part of your brain responsible for memory, the hippocampus. I've seen scans of patients before and after burnout. It's not a joke. That's why one of the first things I teach isn't a medication. It's deep breathing, walking outside, and learning to say no. Sleep, too, becomes sacred after 50. It's not just about how long you sleep, but how deeply. Your brain cleans itself during deep sleep, flushing out toxins that cause cognitive decline. If you wake up groggy or forget names in the morning, don't blame age. Blame blue light, late dinners, or that extra glass of wine. Start protecting your sleep like you protect your money, because memory loss is expensive. And finally, the most powerful tool we often ignore: movement. Physical activity doesn't just help the heart, it helps the brain grow new cells. Every step you take, every walk you enjoy, is medicine. I don't care how fit you are, just move. Your brain is listening, and it's not too late to give it what it needs. I've treated thousands of patients over the years, and there's one thing I wish more people understood: your brain eats what you eat. After 50, every bite matters more. Not because your body is weaker, but because your system becomes less forgiving. Inflammation builds faster, recovery takes longer, and the wrong foods can cloud your memory long before they show up in blood tests. Let's start with sugar. People think of sugar as a treat, but for your brain, it's a toxin in disguise. High blood sugar damages the small vessels that bring oxygen to your brain cells. It also triggers insulin resistance, which is directly linked to cognitive decline and even Alzheimer's. I always tell my patients this: if you want a sharper memory, treat sugar like a drug. Rare, minimal, and never on an empty stomach. You don't need perfection, but you do need consistency. The second food trap? Processed oils. You'll find them in almost every packaged snack: sunflower oil, soybean oil, corn oil. These are rich in omega-6 fats, which in excess fuel chronic inflammation in the brain. That fog you feel after a bag of chips? It's real. I tell my patients to switch to extra virgin olive oil and, if possible, add wild-caught fish once a week. One small dietary upgrade can do more for your memory than any over-the-counter supplement. Now, let's talk about what to add, not just what to avoid. After 50, your brain desperately needs antioxidants. These are the molecules that fight free radicals, which damage brain cells every day. Where do you get them? Berries, leafy greens, colorful vegetables? I know it sounds boring, but this is science, not a trend. A daily salad and a handful of blueberries might protect your brain more than your pension plan. Don't underestimate hydration either. Even mild dehydration, just 2%, can impair attention and short-term memory. Yet many older adults drink less water because they don't feel thirsty. That's not a sign of health. It's a warning light. I advise sipping water steadily throughout the day, not chugging it at once. Add a slice of lemon or cucumber if it helps. Clear thinking starts with clear hydration. And finally, don't skip breakfast. I don't mean toast and coffee, I mean real fuel, protein, fiber, and healthy fat. Eggs with avocado, Greek yogurt with chia seeds. A memory that lasts into your 70s and 80s starts with what you put on your plate at 7 a.m. I've seen patients reverse brain fog in just weeks, not with pills, but with food. This isn't hype, it's biology, and it's still in your control. If I could prescribe just one habit to improve memory after 50, it wouldn't be a pill, it would be walking. Most people associate exercise with weight loss or heart health, but few realize how essential it is for the brain. When you move your body, especially with consistent rhythmic movement like walking, you increase blood flow to the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory. I tell my patients all the time, movement is not optional, it's how your brain breathes. You don't need to run marathons. In fact, I don't recommend high-intensity training for most people over 50 unless they've been doing it for years. What works better and safer is something I call memory walks. These are slow, intentional 20-minute walks, ideally done in nature or quiet neighborhoods. No phone, no music, just you, your breath, and your thoughts. This simple ritual reduces cortisol, improves oxygen delivery, and sharpens focus over time. Why does this matter? Because stress is one of the biggest killers of memory. And the problem is, most stress isn't loud, it's silent. It lives in shallow breathing, in tightened shoulders, in restless nights. Movement is one of the fastest and most natural ways to lower stress hormones. I've seen anxious, forgetful patients turn into calm, focused individuals within weeks of daily movement. The change isn't instant, but it is reliable. Balance exercises are another underrated brain tool. After 50, coordination starts to decline, but not just physically, neurologically. When you practice standing on one foot or walking heel to toe, you're challenging your brain to stabilize and adapt. It's like physical Sudoku. I recommend brushing your teeth on one leg every morning. It sounds silly, but it lights up parts of your brain that your daily routine never touches. And don't forget strength. Your muscles aren't just for lifting things. They're an organ that talks to your brain. Every time you use your muscles, they release proteins that stimulate brain cell growth. I call them memory molecules. That's why even short sessions with light weights or resistance bands can sharpen thinking. You're not just building muscle, you're building cognitive resilience. Then there's movement for the sake of joy. Dancing, gardening, even cleaning the house with music. These aren't chores, they're brain therapy. When you enjoy moving, your brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation and attention. I've had patients rediscover parts of themselves just by moving again. One woman told me she started remembering old phone numbers, old recipes, old feelings, just from dancing in the kitchen. The bottom line is this: a still body leads to a still mind, and a still mind, over time, becomes a foggy one. But you can reverse that, not with perfection, but with 20 minutes a day. This isn't a fitness trend, it's neuroscience. And your next walk could be the best thing you do for your brain this year. If memory loss had a face, we'd know how to fight it. But the real enemies? They're invisible. They live in your kitchen, your bedroom, your phone, and worst of all, in your routine. Over the last 20 years, I've treated hundreds of patients who believed their memory was fading just because they were aging. And I've told every one of them the same thing. The decline you're feeling might be age-related, but it's not age-determined. It's habit-determined. Let's talk about sugar. Not just candy and cakes, but the quiet sugars hiding in yogurt, cereal, sauces, bread. When you eat sugar regularly, even small amounts, your blood glucose spikes and crashes all day long. This affects the brain's ability to concentrate, store memories, and regulate emotions. Over time, these roller coasters lead to insulin resistance in the brain, something scientists now call type 3 diabetes. I've had patients cut back on processed sugars and tell me within weeks, I feel like my brain woke up. Now, let's talk about sleep. Or rather, the fake sleep many people settle for. I'm not talking about the total hours you spend in bed. I'm talking about sleep quality. If you fall asleep to the TV, scroll your phone until your eyes blur, or snack late at night, your brain doesn't enter deep restorative sleep. And guess where memory consolidation happens? In those deep stages. Without them, even if you sleep 8 hours, your brain wakes up confused, tired, and foggy. Another enemy is multitasking. It feels productive, but it's actually cognitive poison. Every time you jump between screens or try to juggle 5 tasks at once, your brain burns out a little faster. The hippocampus, your memory center, hates distractions. You're training your mind not to focus. I always tell my patients, do one thing fully, even if it's just washing the dishes. You'll think clearer and remember more. Now here's a big one most people ignore: chronic inflammation. It doesn't hurt, so people don't notice it. But if you're carrying excess belly fat, eating processed food, or not moving much, chances are inflammation is running in the background, and it's damaging brain tissue every single day. Blood vessels narrow, neurons fire slower, and your ability to recall simple things, names, dates, appointments, fades. This isn't inevitable, it's reversible. Anti-inflammatory foods, short walks, and reducing stress can change your brain's environment in a matter of weeks. Screens are another silent killer. I'm not saying to throw out your phone or TV, but I am saying protect your attention. Your brain wasn't designed for 200 notifications a day. It's overwhelmed, especially the part responsible for short-term memory. I've had patients who just turned off all notifications and left their phone in another room after 8 p.m. And within 10 days, they told me their thoughts felt sharper. The silence healed something. Then there's loneliness. This might be the cruelest enemy of all, because it hides behind smiles. I've seen brilliant, strong, vibrant people fade into forgetfulness, not because of brain damage, but because of emotional starvation. The brain is social. It needs connection, laughter, touch, conversation. If you're not speaking to others, challenging your mind with new ideas, or feeling seen, your brain starts to shrink, literally. That's why I tell my older patients, stay socially active. Call a friend, join a group, volunteer, talk. Your memory depends on it. So, what do you do about all of this? You don't panic. You get curious. You look at your day, your meals, your screen time, your sleep, your stress, and ask, what am I unknowingly feeding my brain? Garbage in, garbage out. But clarity in, focus in, movement, connection, nourishment in? That's when memory returns, slowly, but beautifully, and it starts with noticing what's hurting you, even when it looks harmless. People always ask me, Doctor, what supplements should I take for memory? And I always give the same answer. Before we talk about pills, Let's talk about your plate, because every bite you take is either feeding your brain or slowly shutting it down. The truth is, food doesn't just fuel your body. It sends instructions to your brain every single day. And most people over 50 have been getting the wrong instructions for decades without even knowing it. Let's start with protein. After 50, your brain needs more of it, not less. Why? Because protein contains amino acids, which are the building blocks of neurotransmitters, the chemicals that help you think, remember, and focus. Without enough protein, your brain struggles to produce serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine, the memory molecule. I tell all my patients, start your day with protein. A boiled egg, a scoop of cottage cheese, or a few nuts in your oatmeal. It makes more difference than any multivitamin. Then there's fat, but not just any fat. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, especially DHA, which is found in fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel. DHA is literally a structural part of your brain. Without enough of it, brain cells lose flexibility, communication between neurons weakens, and memory suffers. If you don't eat fish, consider a high-quality algae-based omega-3 supplement. It's not just about cholesterol or heart health. It's about keeping your mind alive. Now let's talk about what to remove. The biggest threat I see in my older patients' diets? Processed carbohydrates, white bread, pastries, sugary cereals, pasta with no fiber. These foods spike your blood sugar, inflame your brain, and dull your cognitive edge. They give you a short-term energy burst, followed by a long-term mental crash. The fix is simple, not easy. Swap white for whole, choose fiber-rich grains, and avoid anything that comes in a crinkly package. Water, yes, water, is another forgotten hero. Dehydration, even mild, shrinks your brain tissue temporarily and impairs short-term memory. Many of my patients over 50 stop drinking water because they want to avoid frequent bathroom trips. But here's the irony. The brain becomes foggy, concentration drops, and they end up frustrated with memory issues that could have been fixed with a glass of water. Sip throughout the day. Don't wait to feel thirsty. By then, your brain's already struggling. There's also a deep connection between your gut and your brain. It's called the gut-brain axis. When your gut is inflamed, from sugar, low fiber, antibiotics, or processed food, it sends distress signals to the brain. That's why so many people with digestive issues also complain of memory problems, anxiety, and brain fog. I always recommend fermented foods like kefir, yogurt, or sauerkraut, plus high-fiber vegetables like broccoli, lentils, and flaxseed. A healthy gut is one of the best protectors of long-term brain function. Another thing most people overlook: meal timing. Eating late at night interferes with sleep, disrupts insulin sensitivity, and forces your brain to work when it should be resting. I tell my patients to finish their last meal at least 3 hours before bed. It gives the brain time to clear toxins, regulate hormones, and prepare for deep sleep, where most memory consolidation happens. Skipping this habit is like trying to charge your phone without plugging it in. And lastly, don't underestimate food joy. I've seen patients become so obsessed with eating right that they forget to enjoy meals. Stress during eating affects digestion, nutrient absorption, and even memory. Slow down, sit at a table, taste your food, be present. A peaceful meal, with good company and real ingredients, can nourish your brain in ways that no supplement ever will. If I could prescribe only one thing for brain health after 50, it wouldn't be a drug, it would be movement. And I don't mean training for a marathon. I mean the kind of gentle, consistent movement that tells your brain, I'm still alive, and I still care. People don't realize it, but your brain doesn't just live in your head. It listens to your body, every single step, stretch, and breath. Let's start with walking. I've treated patients who tried crossword puzzles, memory apps, even supplements. But nothing helped as much as 30 minutes of walking a day. Walking increases blood flow to the brain, boosts BDNF, a protein that grows new neurons, and reduces stress hormones that cloud memory. It also stabilizes mood, improves sleep, and sharpens decision-making. If you're overwhelmed, start with 10 minutes after lunch. It's not a workout, it's therapy. Balance and coordination matter just as much. Most people think exercise means pushing harder. But after 50, one of the smartest things you can do is practice stillness in motion. Try standing on one leg while brushing your teeth, or gently shifting your weight from side to side with your eyes closed. These movements light up parts of the brain responsible for proprioception, reaction time, and focus, the exact systems that begin to fade with age. Then there's strength training. No, I don't mean lifting heavy weights. I mean using your own body, sit-to-stand exercises, light resistance bands, wall push-ups. When your muscles stay active, your brain stays active. Studies show strength training improves executive function, the part of the brain responsible for planning, focus, and self-control. Even 15 minutes twice a week can make your thoughts feel sharper and your reflexes quicker. Breathing is another form of movement, and one of the most powerful. Deep, intentional breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system and reduces cortisol, which directly affects memory formation. I teach patients a simple method. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Do that for just 2 minutes a day, especially when stressed. It's free, it's powerful, and your brain will thank you for decades. I also encourage patients to try movements that bring joy. Gardening, dancing, swimming, tai chi. The brain responds better to movement with meaning. You're not just burning calories, you're forming new neural connections. I had one patient take up ballroom dancing at 67. Her balance, mood, and memory improved within months. We underestimate joy as a treatment, and we shouldn't. One of the biggest lies we've told older adults is that slowing down is natural. Slowing down is a response to fear, pain, or habit, not aging itself. Movement is how you challenge that lie. The less you move, the less your brain believes you need to be sharp. But when you move daily, even a little, your brain adapts. It grows. It gets ready to serve you longer. So my message is this: you don't need a gym. You don't need fancy gear. What you need is to remember that your brain listens to every motion you make. Every stretch tells it, "I'm not done yet." And if you move with purpose, your mind will follow, stronger, clearer, and more alive than you thought possible.